Hello everyone, Mason here. How are you doing? Today it's time for a book review. Thomas Brogan is a serial killer. After a close encounter with the police, he takes refuge inside an abandoned house, where he makes a startling discovery. Oh, just stop it. Don't do it like that. Why are you doing it like that? Just don't do it, not this time. Don't do what? I'm really not sure what you're talking about. Yeah you are. Don't play ignorant with me, mate. I'm inside your head. You're going to give this book a cool little summary, that's going to make it sound like it's worth a read, and then you're going to disappoint people. It's not fair. Don't do it. I'm really not sure what you want me to do. This is a book review. That's literally what I do. No, I'm not having it. I'm not having it. You can take a back seat and I'll tell them about the book. Just go play with some magnets or write some poetry or whatever it is you do. Seriously, I'm not sure that's a good idea. Shut up and be quiet. Alright everyone, hope you're okay. It's time for a book review. Right, first things first, what's that music? Can we change it? I know he likes to set the tone, but that's not what we're doing this time. That's better. Let's get started. I recently got done reading The Resident by David Jackson. Luckily I picked it up in a £3 sale, because if I'd spent a full credit on it, I'd have been way more pissed off than I already am. Like the other guy said, it's about a dude named Thomas Brogan, who's a serial killer. Spooky. Right at the beginning of the book, he almost gets caught by the police, but he hides inside an abandoned house. The thing is, it's a terraced house. Now for the American people in the audience, terraced houses are big, long rows of fairly small houses that are all connected. They were built for factory workers back in the day. Now the thing is about terraced houses, in particular the older ones, you could move between them through the attics because the dividing walls weren't built properly because they wanted to save money or something. I don't know, I'm not a historian. Wikipedia's available, look it up if you care that much. So this abandoned house is just one in a row of 4, and once serial killer boy realises he can move between them, he starts doing that and spying on the people that live there. In the first house we've got Elsie, an old woman who lives on her own. Next to her is Jack and Pam, a couple that may as well not be there, they literally only exist for a plot point later on. And in the final house there's Colette and Martin, who Brogan immediately decides are his favourite because Colette is fit. There's actually a hole in the ceiling in Colette and Martin's bedroom because they moved the light at some point and didn't fill in the fixture. So Brogan begins hiding in the attic and watching them anytime they're in the bedroom, and yeah, everything that sprang into your filthy little minds when I said that does happen. Oh, he watches them have sex. A book reviews for one thing, right? You want to know if this book's any good or not, and yeah, it is. It's fairly easy and enjoyable to read, and there's some pretty funny parts to it. It's weird because it's about a serial killer that watches people in their own home, but it's got a young adult feeling to it. I feel like if I'd have read this as a teenager I'd have been well into it, and maybe it's because Thomas Brogan has a bit of a juvenile personality, but the writing and descriptions are also pretty simplistic, and considering the subject matter, nothing overly shocking happens. I suppose Brogan's a fairly interesting character. He's got another voice inside of his head, and that's his evil side because he's well crazy. It always pushes him to take things further and urges him to hurt people, play games with them, and generally pesters him about his needs and his desires. It complains about needing food a lot. Obviously he's got a bit of a troubled past that gets fed to us throughout the course of the story. To be honest, there's nothing surprising there though. It's your typical lonely, neglected child that grows up to be a serial killer. He literally ticks all the boxes on that one. The voice in his head is basically his only friend. It's always telling him that it's the only one that cares about him, reminding him of the people that's hurt him, and telling him that it's the only one that can protect him. It seems like Brogan would be a fairly simple person if it wasn't for the voice, but unfortunately the world just pushes people too far sometimes, doesn't it? The thing is, right, this is a classic example of the book description just lying to you. It says that Brogan likes to play games with people, and the neighbours have got more than enough dark secrets to uncover that will make this the best game he's ever played. That sounds good. It also makes it sound like something that it's not. Going into this, I thought it was going to have a super creepy vibe that was going to leave me feeling paranoid that someone was watching me. I thought it was going to be a long game. It was going to spend all this time watching the neighbours, uncovering their secrets and using them against them, and if it had been that, it'd have been way more interesting than it actually was. The truth is though, he doesn't watch the neighbours that much, and he doesn't mess with them at all. Once he finds Colette and Martin's house, he fixates on them, and the whole story is about him watching them and obsessing over how fit Colette is. Yeah, they do have secrets that he uncovers, and yeah, he does mess with them a bit, and that's cool. But it feels like it's building to this climactic moment. You're thinking to yourself, it's going to be cool when this happens, and then it does, and it lasts about 20 minutes, and then the ending happens. The ending comes so abruptly that it just feels like the author gave up. They had no clue how to end it, so they just went, and then this happens, the end. I genuinely thought that when the Audible credits started rolling, it was some sort of joke. They were messing with me, surely, and it was going to go back into the story, but it wasn't. It was just the end. I hate the ending to this book. I absolutely hate it. It infuriated me. You know, in old cartoons when someone would get so mad that their face would go bright red and steam would come out of their ears? Yeah, that was me when this book finished. The biggest shame is that the rest of the story is actually pretty good, but the ending is so shit that it makes the whole thing feel like a waste of time. Look, if somehow after this you're thinking, that sounds pretty decent, I might give it a read, nice one. I hope you like it, and I hope the ending doesn't kick you in the balls like it did for me. Thanks ever so much for spending time with me today, but you should probably get out of here because I'm about to angrily spoil this book. Here's what you need to know. Elsie, the old woman who lives on her own, seems to have some sort of dementia as well as other health problems, and she's also hearing impaired, which Brogan uses to his advantage. He figures because she sleeps with her hearing aid out, he can sneak down into her house and help himself to her food as much as he likes. She does catch him, but luckily she thinks that he's her dead son Alex. Throughout the story he goes back multiple times because it's the best place for him to get food from. He allows her to keep thinking that he's Alex because it's quite convenient because she just allows him to be there and makes him food. They build a bit of a relationship and she makes him promise that he'll keep coming back because his nightly visits are all she's got to live for now. Meanwhile, you've got Jack and Pam who live in the middle house, but they may as well not be there. Brogan goes into their house a grand total of 1 time, gets attacked by their dog and never goes back. The reason they exist at all is so that whilst later in the story Brogan is sneaking around Colette and Martin's house, Jack and Pam get some workmen in and they build up the dividing wall in the attic, so now he's stuck in Colette and Martin's house. After that, things get a little bit harder for him because obviously he can't sneak back to Elsie's house and get food easily. He starts living off rations, but one day there's a burglar in Colette and Martin's house. Brogan kills him, but he's got nowhere to put the body, so he drags him back up into the attic with him. Now throughout the story, Brogan does a load of stuff that makes Colette think the house might be haunted and Martin think that Colette's going crazy. After Brogan is trapped in Colette and Martin's house, Elsie's health takes a turn for the worse because she's not being visited by Alex at night anymore and she just sort of gives up. Colette spends a lot of time visiting her in hospital. At the end, everything just sort of goes haywire. Colette and Martin's house is being stank out by the body that's rotting away in their attic, and when Martin comes up to put something in there, he discovers the body. Brogan and him fight, Brogan stabs him and subdues him. Knowing that he needs to move his plan forward, Brogan waits for Colette to come home, where she finds Martin tied to a chair in the kitchen. After all of the build-up, after talking about the games that he's going to play with Colette and Martin for the whole book, we get about 15-20 minutes where he actually does so, forcing each of them to make confessions and hurting the other one if they lie. Then Martin drops dead of a heart attack, and before Brogan can kill Colette, Elsie returns from the hospital, slits Brogan's throat, and he dies! I just don't know what David Jackson was thinking, man. It's like he just gave up. Like he either couldn't be bothered anymore, had no idea what to do, or maybe someone was shouting him from downstairs and he needed to finish as fast as possible. It just feels like the rug gets swept out from under your feet, and not in a good, thrillery sort of way, just in a, oh no, I've tumbled headfirst down the stairs and smashed open my skull sort of way. I honestly don't know what more to say. This was the worst ending of anything that I've read this year. In fact, it's the worst ending of anything that I can think of. I just don't know how this got to print. How anyone that read this before it was published didn't stop him and say, hang on a second David, don't you think the readers deserve a bit of a better ending than that? In the end it was a waste of time and money, and out of those two things, I could only get one back. Lee actually told me a story about how when she was younger she lived in a terraced house and she shared a room with a brother. The loft hatch was above his bed, and one night when she woke up, the hatch was actually open. Let's be honest, that's super creepy, and that story actually makes me more terrified of attics than this bloody book did. My question for today is this: if you could force all authors to stop doing one thing in particular, what would it be? If you've enjoyed this video, the like and subscribe buttons are just sitting there, waiting to be pressed. Now press them, or I'll place a giant wind machine outside your door so every time you try to open it, it blows closed. If you want to get in touch, say hi and have a chat, then you know where the comment section is, or the link to my Twitter can be found in the description. Thanks ever so much for spending time with me today, guys. Until next time, take care. For now I'm off, and you should have a good one. Hello everyone, Mason here. Jesus, I've only just started, seriously. Today it's time for a book review. The bottle, again, this is what I get for trying to hydrate myself while I'm doing a review. She's also hearing impaired. Brogan figures that because she has a hearing aid, you idiot. She's also hearing impaired. Brogan figures that because she has a sleeping aid in, oh my god, I can't believe I've just done that again! Here's what you need to know. Elsie, the old woman who lives... Ow, just bit my tongue.